this is literally just a Q&A session. Do you have any questions about stuff today? Yes, please run, whoever has mics. Oh, I get to sit down. Yo.
I've got a question about entering the market. So you said that it will breach the support, resistance, etc. How do you define when it actually breaches it? How would you, let me think of the question properly. How do you spot the difference between breach and fake out? That's my point.
Yeah, normally a Kobo would help.
Still with Kobo, I mean, it comes back, but, you know.
So normally you have a fake out if, okay, this is going to be horrendous because I'm doing this on Microsoft Paint. Stand by. So market's coming down, yada, 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 with a trackpad, not ideal. You'll then have, hopefully, some sort of resistance line doing something like that. And then, where's the paintbrush gone? Now, what you'll find with a fake out, typically a fake out will be like this. It'll be very short-lived and quite aggressive, and then just make its way back down. So instead, when I say Kobo, if you wanted to be super, super certain, what you could do is wait for the breakout. Don't try and preempt the Kobo. You see then if it bounces. If this starts bouncing again, then it's highly likely not going to be a fake out, and it's basically the beginning of more like this. Or even, if you want to be even safer, is that you can then draw a line across however high it went, and then once it breaches that high, then you can get in around here, depending on how aggressive you want to be. Obviously, if you want to be super aggressive, the most aggressive way is literally just getting in on the pullback, which is actually the safest way. But the risk you're running there is that, yeah, it could be a fake out. But obviously, the context really does help as well. I mean, is this on a big support level? I mean, if that was on a big support level, yeah, it would help. When we're looking at, no, it'll take too long to get the charts out. But yeah, and normally fake outs tend to be, one big bar that's gone up and then down. So if, however, this is like a steady market, let's say it's the daily chart, and it starts creeping above here, and it starts doing something like this, that period of time could be like a week. So there's also a time element. So if you're looking at this on the 4-hour chart and there's 1 or 2 candles above it or whatever, it's still a bit early. Whereas if you've had a few days above this level, then there's a higher probability that it's going to stick the landing on top. So this is why when you're looking at big base supports, don't look on the 4-hour chart, daily chart, and ultimately the weekly chart. So good question though. Any other questions? Who's got the mic next? If we can preload the mic with the next question person, that'd be grand. So whoever, someone get a mic to the next person. Cool. Yep.
My question's on mental model. I set myself up to buy and sell something. I knew there was going to be profit in it because it was limited. I knew everybody was going to want it. But in the time that I had to buy it, I just couldn't pull the trigger. How do you relate that to trading? This is a wider question around business trading a lot.
It's a very good question because recently, as I said in the trading pub 2 days ago, I was talking about my trigger issues, my performance issues. Like we had the biggest no-brainer bounce opportunity of resistance like we've seen in months, and I bottled it. And this always goes back to your life. Your trading is the first victim of having a tumultuous personal life. And when I say not necessarily marriage stuff, but just your work life in general, it is the first thing. It's like with some blokes, a stressful life is the thing, the first thing that fails is their libido, let's say. But for me, that's never an issue. It's my trading. My trading is like my libido. And sorry, this is being recorded. I'm solid. No. Oh my God. Oh dear Lord. Thank God Marie and Annie are not here. That sounds horrendous. For me, I know myself, trading is the first thing that goes balls up. So, and this is, shut it. So it's important that you need that awareness that if you're having stress in your life, to maybe reduce your position size, trade, I wouldn't say necessarily less, but maybe paper trade or trade with a position size where it doesn't matter. Now, what happened recently is that I've got 2 court cases on the go. Someone's stealing £500,000 off me, so I'm taking her to court. I got an absolute frivolous court case. Someone's suing me. It's like, yeah, like Lara said, it would be much easier just to pay this person just to piss off. But I'm making a principle. I'm holding my ground here because this is bullshit. So I'm going to end up spending way more on legal fees just to prove a point. But any legal case on its own is just huge negative mental drain. No matter how big it is, whether it's actually the smaller court case which caused me more grief than the big one. Not just that, I'm currently, like all year, I've been just getting rid of companies and just trying to, I've liquidated some, I sold one for, like I sold the flotation company for a bag of crisps and a cuddle. Yeah, it's just been stressful. And having kids on a 10-week summer holiday hasn't helped. Yeah, my school, 10-week summer holiday, it's nuts. And so I took a mental note to myself. I was like, right, Siam, you're a bit stressed out. You should trade with smaller position sizes, yada, yada, yada. And it got to the point where for the first time ever, I second-guessed myself. So when we saw Bitcoin, literally, the amount of trading pubs where I've drawn that big trend line going down and said, you know, if it hits this, we need to bounce this. We need to short it as it hits resistance. What does it do? It literally creeps up, not even smashes into it. It just creeps up to it. Basically, licked it a few times and then just went bye. And there was probably at least 3 occasions where I was like, sat down on my computer, no distractions, and I was like, huh, sweet. I need to short this. And then I got distracted, WhatsApp, bleep, bleep, or, you know, whatever. And then for some reason, I just didn't pull the trigger. Normally, I'm like, yes. I'm like gung-ho. But I didn't. I was reluctant. And the reason why is because I'm going to stop. This is a habit now, which I will not do. Every day, I'm not even joking, I will get a WhatsApp message or a Facebook direct message or something going, hey, Siam, I saw this YouTube video. What do you think? And me trying to, and because I hate just ignoring people, I'm like, oh, God's sake, you're like a time vampire. You've just sucked half an hour of my life because I've got to watch this bloody video now. And so recently, I've been trying to catch up with my messages because I've got like best part of 200 unread messages on social media. And I've watched a whole bunch of YouTubers. Most of them are pretenders that don't know what they're talking about. But that swayed my thinking processes. And then for a moment, because all these YouTubers are now suddenly very bullish, I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't short it here. And I second-guessed my own trading style. And guess what? It literally just kissed it beautifully and went down. And that pisses me off because it was a big trading move. Yeah, normally with a move like that, if we'd looked at similar moves over the last few months, that would have normally made a good 300 grand of profit, just that move alone, and I got bugger all from it. So your question is, what was the question again? The exact question.
So how do you deal with that? Because I was sat there looking at this. I had 5 minutes to buy it.
Yeah.
I had the money in my account. I just stared at it. I couldn't get myself to pull the trigger. Half an hour later, I'm getting messages. Did you buy? I'll offer you 1.5 to 2 times what you would have bought for. And I knew that was going to happen. I prepared myself for it. I had the money in place, but I couldn't get myself to pull the trigger. Now, some of the guys on Discord have come back and spoken about the size of the amount of money I was spending and stuff like that, and that all fits in. It all makes sense. So I just wanted to try and see how do you deal with that. Because yes, to me, that's spending 10 grand on one thing. I knew I was going to flip it. I knew I was going to make a profit, but it's still a lot of money to lay out.
You ultimately, I just have to go back to basics and go, right, what are your trading systems? Frickin' stick to it. Don't listen to anyone else. And I'm not going to make that decision again. So if you send me a video to watch, I'm so sorry, I'm just not going to watch it. Unless it's a funny video, but not a trading video. Yeah, I'm not a fan of crypto YouTubers and Twitter followers, whatever. So, any other question? Oh, there's one over there.
Hey, Siam. I thought the stuff on landfill was really interesting.
Sorry?
I thought the stuff on landfill was really interesting in terms of Bitcoin miners using it to kind of power their operations. Did the article you read say anything about like the potential for huge like liabilities associated with landfill? How, for example, you start a venting operation and then you cause like water contamination or something, which is like absolutely like, you know, ravenous in landfill sites, and suddenly you're kind of liable for like millions of pounds of like environmental remediation costs. Did it say anything about how that may mean that Bitcoin miners just stay away from it because they see it as commercially unviable?
No, it didn't in that article, but yeah, it's another thread that you need to pull at in your research threads. And by the way, you should always have like a whole array of threads. Like at any point in time, there's probably a good 10 different things I need to, or more, threads I need to pull at. And it's a case of just allocating time in your diary to, right, I'm going to spend an hour pulling on this thread, see where it leads. And the more you research something, there's like 10 more threads that pop out. It's like sub-thread of it. It's like a Reddit, thing. But yeah, it's a valid thing. I have no answer to that other than I will be looking into it. But by Bitcoin, by using vented methane from landfill sites, you're not encouraging more landfill sites. You're simply just, and the other thing I forgot to say is that by taking that methane out of the environment to power your Bitcoin mining rigs, you're doing even though you may be burning it off and emitting more carbon, you're actually doing a bigger service to the climate because methane is 84 times more warming than carbon. So, again, as I said, I don't have a deep knowledge of that particular topic.
No, it's a really interesting one. Cheers, Sam.
Yeah. It's like another thread which I've been pulling out recently is desalination, right? So we have drinking issues or freshwater issues in lesser developed countries or developing countries, whatever the bullshit PC term is. Middle to low income countries. And then I thought, actually, as solar energy gets way, way cheaper, and by the way, it's already the cheapest form of energy on the planet, solar, and it has been since 2018. It is far cheaper than even the best oil suppliers at the moment. But solar is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Energy eventually will become like data is for mobile phones or for computers. There used to be huge buildings which were just data computers, data buildings, and now we've got more data on our mobile phone than freaking entire buildings, a few decades ago or more. Energy will be the same. We should, and eventually we will have a fully decentralized, distributed energy grid where every house makes energy and stores it up in a battery pack, etc. So when that happens, and energy is not really a thing anymore, technically desalination will become free to cheap, where it won't be an issue. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Drinking it doesn't need to be a problem. But the subreddit, or whatever, is what are you going to do with the salt? And then I started looking at all these massive desalination plants. They have these huge piles of salt, taller than like 4-story buildings. They're huge. So when you extract the salt out of seawater, it has to go somewhere. You can't dump it back in the sea because then it ruins the acidity levels of the sea. You then have dead zones. The Dead Sea is dead of all organic life because it's so salty. Salt kills in huge, it's poisonous in huge format. So the other question is, what the hell do you do with the salt? Then I thought, you could actually dig really big holes and have salt landfills. So the next thread I want to discover, and I'm not even thinking about it this is more for intellectual curiosity, not for a business thing, is like, how deep do you need to dig before salt doesn't really matter? Because there's going to be a level where you can dig enough where, dig deep enough where, if you...
You'd hit the water table.
No, below. It's definitely below that. So I'm talking, if you drill 10,000 feet down, surely it doesn't really matter. I don't know. It's just another thread. Exactly. But yeah, good question. Next question. Yes.
Oh gosh, that was loud, I thought. So obviously this week we've seen the merge in Ether to 2.0. So coming from a complete crypto newbie, so this could be an ignorant, naive question. My sort of expectation was that we would see some kind of movement in the price of Ether as a result of that merge, but it's sort of kind of gone, nowhere. Why is that, and what
Yeah.
what is your expectation therefore in terms of also timescales in terms of the outlook for ETH?
So, as a community, the realistic trader, we shorted ETH on the lead up to it, or just after. I can't remember the exact times, but the goal was always to short Ether a day or two before the merge. So this was always sort of sell the news, or buy the rumor, sell the news, etc. And the reason being is that, yes, there's this massive hype. And the last cuddle, I talked at length about Ether and the merge and all that, and why all the bullish tokenomic stuff, from issuance dropping, as in token issuance dropping by 90%, the energy usage dropping, all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, that stuff are things which have an accumulated or aggregated effect. So yes, in day one, boom, way less energy, and issuance drops 90%. But it doesn't actually change stuff. It's very similar to the Bitcoin halvings. So a Bitcoin halving will happen, and all of a sudden, there's half the amount of Bitcoin being mined every 10 minutes. But the price doesn't do anything until 6 to 12 months later. If you look at the Bitcoin halvings, nothing happens during the halving. It tends to go sideways for a bit, or even down, and then it picks up. So give it a year, then we will see the true effects of the triple halving, so to speak. And also crypto as a whole is very hype-led. So the people will flock to whatever news announcement coming up, like, the merge or whatever. And it tends to be a spike up to that. And then once it happens, it's like, okay, we had the merge. Now what? Let's find the next big news announcement. And then they just plow into something else. And so I was anticipating that. Hence, I'm in a nice short right now. I think the R multiple is pretty good. Again, going back to what Ray said, I was still pretty chicken shit with that trade and went in. I was scaling in, wasn't I? So yes, I was going at 1% max risk, but I chickened out by having the world's biggest stop loss. I don't know if you remember, like looking at this stop loss, I got my stop at 1967. Therefore, the position size was pretty pants. I'm only shorting 100 ETH. It's doing nice, but it's not what it should be. Because I'm still at the back end of being, I don't know, not emotionally fragile, but I was second guessing myself. People flock to the next news announcement. So and also with the whole thing, I still think crypto's got another big leg down. I think the next leg down for Bitcoin is down to 16K. Now whether that's the bottom, I don't know, but we'll see some consolidation around 16 to 16.5K. If Bitcoin does that, ETH's going back down to 1,000.
And is that because you think the dollar is going to continue to rally as well?
Yeah.
As a result.
And just shitness full, even if the dollar does not rally, because although there is that correlation or the inverse correlation between stocks and the dollar and crypto stocks and commodities against the dollar, there have been occasions where that correlation stops temporarily. And occasions like that happen during mass panics. So what I'm expecting is a mass sell-off in stocks very soon. And when that happens, just watch crypto and all commodities dump with it, regardless what the dollar's doing that day. I don't know if you remember, there was a YouTube video I put out, I think on the 13th of June, where I said, tomorrow, shit's about to hit the fan. I'm shorting everything. Do you remember that? And then that was on a Sunday night. And then on the Monday, everything shat itself. So that was a good day for me. I made, from those trades, they were 350K of profit, I think. And sometimes the charts give you a very high probability, or sometimes they lift their skirt and go, this is what's happening. And on that particular moment, I knew with high certainty the markets were about to dump. Right now, we're in almost exactly the same situation, but the way the charts are set up, that I can't pinpoint how long it's going to take. If I had a gun to my head, I'd say 22nd of September. Because I think the 21st of September is the big rate announcement. Let's double check. 21st, is it? 7 p.m. And the FOMC chat, as they do afterwards, is 7:30. So actually, I think on the night of the 21st, and then a follow through on the 22nd is my best guess, a big dump. So let me just quickly, I'll just show you this. Come on, mouse, where are you? Here we go. Where's pretty fly for a Wi-Fi? Oh, no, stand by. Oh, you can't see that. Good-o. Pretty fly for a Wi-Fi. Nope. Come on, tech. There we go. Boomtown. So if we open up, no. Wait, 1 second. I'm just, if we move this over here, I'll just have to use this big screen on my left. So for the newer people here, just type in Forex calendar into your browser. Forexfactory.com, click that one, it'll be at the top. And then this is just a little calendar of all the big news announcements. So you basically need to ignore everything other than red stuff from the US. So if we then fast forward, there's not much happening this week coming up. You then go to the next week, so the one after, so go to that one. Here we go. There. Wednesday, the 21st of September, FOMC statement, the new Fed funds rate, so that's the new interest rate hike, whether it's 25 basis points or 100, we don't know. And then this is where you get the meat on the bone. So this pops out instantly, like an alert, and then they chat about it for a bit. And that's where you see massive fluctuations. But ultimately, I think we are in the same shit mix that we did back in June when I called that big thing crash. And I think this is going to be negative, especially as inflation was slightly higher than it should have been. So, yeah, best guess, I think we will probably have our next leg down 21st to 22nd of September, and that will be down to 16K.
Simon, do you think it's going to go up a little bit and touch the base support again and then drop down on the Bitcoin?
Stand by. Wait, let's get
Resistance.
let's get a blank chart out.
We just touched that on the, literally 2 days ago, 5 days ago.
Touch what, sorry?
The main base resistance, the main resistance line.
Oh, yeah, this here. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to go up and then touch it again and then?
Yeah, we could. If I zoom out a bit, sorry.
It'd be a good idea to close the shorts now. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing it anyway because of the funding rate. By a bit, something like that. Again, it's not that accurate because I can barely see the chart. Yeah, so this is the, oh dear Lord. Ah, sweet baby Elon, help me. Yeah, so that was the bounce we missed. Yeah, we could have some sort of fanning around until the 21st. So I would say, it's a big area, but I'd probably say some sort of movement back up to here. And that by maybe create a double top there. But there is a key level here which needs to get breached. It's sort of this level there. And I reckon we could have some sort of Kobo down to, well, not that far, 16K, which is basically there. Or actually, maybe to 12. Actually, yeah, 12 is actually in line there. Anyway, I don't want to get too much in the weeds in the charts. Who's the next question? Yes, hit me, Mike. As in the microphone, not you, you're not Mike, I know you.
Oh. So you mentioned that you're expecting the next cycle low to be like in the next 3 to 6 months, which would coincide with the previous cycles, right? Like that's how long the bear market typically lasts. However, crypto hasn't seen like a proper macro,
correct,
kind of like shit market that like it's never seen that. It was born in when like money printing began, and it's been money printing ever since.
Agreed.
So do you think that kind of like the same typical cycles will continue, like the bear and the bull,
No.
right? So that the question is, if you're expecting that low to be in the next 3 to 6 months, what's going to happen after? Like then you presumably you're not really going to kind of have the same like a bottoming pattern and then a gradual kind of grind up and then the next bull market. What do you anticipate happening from that point on?
If this is Bitcoin here, I think we're going to hit a low, and then we're just going to dribble out of that resistance. Just going to dribble, and that dribbling could last 6 months. So the reason I think, again, it's my opinion, cycles were big before institutions were playing with crypto. So Bitcoin halving cycles, all the other cycles, it was because crypto has always been a retail-driven market. Now, retail is a teeny-weeny part of crypto. It is all about the big boys jumping in. And we have some huge whales in this market now. When I say whales, banks, basically, and BlackRock. And so now the bull market will, it will happen not because of retail, but because of institutions. And the sole thing, the one thing that will start the bull market is when Gary Gensler pisses off, or he goes, right, Bitcoin spot ETFs are allowed. Because not just the BlackRock ETF will kick in, there's about 15 spot ETFs, or that's overnight. Grayscale have been like chomping at the bit for ages. The Winklevi brothers have been trying for years. There's at least 15 spot ETFs that will be approved like that once the SEC goes approved. But I don't think they're going to say that until the government of some sort lays out like big sort of legislation or regulation. So I think what's going to happen is they'll go, we're going to ban whatever. We're going to regulate the shit out of this industry in the US. They can only control the US stuff. And then once they've sort of drawn the lines for the football pitch, players will come on. And the players are big corporates. There's so many banks and big corporates and billionaires going, I want to play in this market, but we don't know what the rules are. And we don't want to play in this. And then the referee come and like slap us with a big fine or whatever. So there's loads of dry powder and cash and big boys just sat there waiting for, like, what are the rules of this game? We want to play. So we're just waiting for the US government to draw the pitch out and put the general regulation in. And then there'll be more MicroStrategies. Remember, Michael Saylor, MicroStrategies, I think he only bought 5 billion. It's a lot, but for a big, for corporates and banks, that's nothing. So when regulation, the lines are a bit clearer and they approve the spot ETF, that is the bull market. Now, when that happens, I don't know. I think as stocks crash, and I do believe there's going to be a stock market crash, crypto will crash with it. And I think we're just going to dribble sideways for a bit, maybe around 8 to 12K. That's where the big support levels are.
But in light of the first hour that you did today, like just as bad as everything is projecting to be, you're still optimistic that within a year we might still start climbing up?
I don't like putting time frames on it. All I know is I have very high conviction that this is not going to be the end of crypto. This is definitely not going away. There's too much money involved, too many big players involved. So crypto is not going to die. This is just like the internet back in 2000, really. It's just going to take a while, and it won't. Actually, I think crypto will recover before stocks recover, because at some point you just know they're going to start printing again, big time, and so you can have, risk on again. So stocks will bounce. I don't know. All I can hang my hat on is when spot ETFs are allowed, the bull market resumes. I don't know when that's going to happen. It's all down to Gary Gensler of the SEC. So, but best guess, maybe 3 to 6 months, which is annoying because I've got a company, I've got a crypto company, and we don't make any money in that company until the bull market resumes. We stand to make a fortune when the bull market resumes, and so do the clients. But until then, we're just treading water. We've just got to wait. So I'm very incentivized for the bull market to resume, but obviously I don't know when. Next question. Yes?
So just as a continuation of that question, you laid out 2 scenarios, scenario 1 and scenario 2 this morning. And scenario 1 was hyperinflation, debt relief, new currency. Didn't really touch on CBDCs. Scenario 2 was your more likely scenario, and then the CBDCs. So what I'm trying to figure out is how do you jibe the future of crypto and the future of CBDCs coming out, and like what's to stop Gary Gensler, SEC, the American government, the whole thing, banning crypto and forcing the institutions to go into CBDCs?
There's nothing. It will happen, I think.
So, but then why are we long-term bullish on crypto?
Because crypto as a sector, but I think probably a good 80 to 90% of cryptos will die. I think there's going to be a mass cleansing, and the ones that will survive are the blue chips, the blue chip cryptos. So look at Solana, huge VC money all in that. Link, Polkadot, Ethereum, Bitcoin, all these big ones, I think they're fully safe. So one of the questions you have to ask yourself when you're looking at this from top-down analysis like an alien, is crypto going to survive? Or is this going to disappear like Blu-ray? Or,
Regulated away.
yeah,
Because
could be
of-
regulated away until it never happens again. And I think the answer is no, because big money and the institutions are going not all in on crypto, but heavily into it. Everyone knows that DLTs, distributed ledger technologies, are the way forward, but how they're going forward, we don't know. But I think it's pretty safe that Bitcoin, Ether, the blue chip cryptos are safe. GMX, probably not. I think it's got its time in the sun temporarily, just like Olympus DAO did and Time, whatever. I think GMX will do very well short term. But then when all these sanctions come out, because they want to control, they want full eyes on everything. I think they'll make USDC its bitch. It already is, but even more so. And yeah, so I think crypto is not dead. It will recover, which is why for me in the portfolio we have, the big weightings will be Ether, GMX, DOT, Link, Atom, Binance, all the big boys, really, just to be safe. Now, I know you can go full degen and start going on page 5 of CoinMarketCap and dicking around with play-to-earn games and whatever. I will have some allocation in Gala games because it's a game producer and all that sort of stuff. But you have to look at the risk. And, like, it's all very well me playing with a personal pot of money. But for me, I straddle two lines which I find really hard because I have a personal pot where I could go full degen and not give a shit if I lose it all. But because I effectively have other people's money, I can't go full degen. Because if I then lose everyone's money on some weird bullshit token on page 6 of coinmarketcap.com, it's like, what? You went all in on Tamagotchi DAO or something, I don't know. So I think, and I'm not the only one, right? So there are loads of people in my boots or fund managers or whatever. They have reputational risk and job risk. So they can't be seen going into anything lower than, at least page 1. And therefore, because there'll be loads of people like that, I think the safest risk-adjusted play is the blue chip cryptos. And everything else will be regulated up to kingdom come. And I think I'm slowly pivoting on my privacy coin stance. For years, I've always said privacy coins are going to go absolutely batshit crazy because they're going to bring out CBDCs, etc. And where are all the criminals going to go? They're going to go to privacy coins, right? But look what they did to Tornado Cash. There was no escaping Tornado Cash. Do you know what happened? A load of influencers all got 0.1 ETH just randomly put into their wallets from Tornado Cash, which instantly got those wallets blocked. It's nuts. So even like, I can't think of the names, but there's loads of like crypto project managers, like I think Gavin Wood, the founder of Polkadot, and a few other big boys, and a load of crypto YouTubers, all got 0.1 ETH, but sent from a Tornado Cash wallet. And so their MetaMask wallet and those funds effectively got frozen. And they're on the sanction list. And it's like, whoa, someone randomly sent. So there's some crazy chess going on, some underhand chess. So I think I'll be putting a lot less money into Monero because, remember, what boomed the internet? Drugs, porn, gambling, and crime. That's really what bootstrapped the internet. Those 4 sectors. What bootstrapped crypto? Porn, gambling, drugs, and criminality. And by the way, there's officially, the last time I checked, 2,000 billionaires on this planet. That's official billionaires. And unofficially, there's another 2,000 illegal billionaires. That's crazy. There are roughly 2,000 criminal billionaires on this planet. 2,000. Where are they putting their money? They can't go to the dollar, because the dollar will soon be a CBDC. So will everything else. So they'll have digi-pound, digi-dollar, digi-euro, whatever. So the net is closing down, right? So eventually, all the major currencies will be a CBDC, where there's full optics. If I was a drug lord, and I've got, $5 billion of illegal drug money and child trafficking money or, whatever, where the hell am I going to put my money? So it won't be in a CBDC. At the moment, it will be in, stuff like, Monero. I will then be forced to buy stuff illegally. So I will be forced to buy Bitcoin mining rigs or whatever. I have to launder it. I can't use Tornado Cash anymore because they've stamped out my tumbler there. What would I do with $5 billion, which I had to clean quickly or get rid of? I'd simply go buying stuff. I'd go on a purchasing. But the thing is, I could only buy stuff via Monero. So could I go and buy a small country or a small city with Monero? It would be freaking no. Because all of a sudden, I'm like, how do you buy that? Monero? It's hard. I guess you'd have to go into the weapons industry. Honestly, and it's worth playing that exercise, by the way. Try and summon your inner criminal, your inner mastermind, henchman, billionaire, whatever, and go, what would I do with $5 billion illegal dollars? How would I mix it? How would I clean it? How would I launder it? How would I hide it? It'll be interesting where your brain takes you. You come up with some really crazy shit, which I'm not going to talk about on stage. But ultimately, wherever those 2,000 billionaires are going to... I don't know. I'm just talking shit now. I'm sticking with blue chips, and everyone seems to love Ethereum, even the big boys. Next question?
Yeah.
Yep, makes sense.
So even with your with ETH 2.0 with the proof of stake, is your Bitcoin to ETH play still high in play, especially now that you're gonna also technical scale up on ETH? So when there's the flop, you even have more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I don't want to flip ever to Bitcoin now. I don't think. Or not, I wouldn't say ever is a bad word, because at the moment I'm just going, I want to load up an ETH, because that 0.1 ratio, we're so close, we're at 0.7 now roughly. Yeah. I think it's going to blast past 0.1 personally. So for those not familiar, what I've always done is this sort of seesaw function where I've wanted to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. And so I've always seesawed that against Ether. So there's loads of YouTube videos where I put out going, hey, this is the Bitcoin or Ether Bitcoin ratio, and it was 0.01 or 0.02. And I said, right, at some point, Ether will zoom up and gain value against Bitcoin and be 0.1. As in, the price of Ether will be a tenth of the price of Bitcoin. And what happened very quickly, it went from 0.1 or 0.2, 0.01 or whatever, up to 0.6. No. 0.06 or 0.07. And we're almost there at 0.1. And I think it's actually going to go way higher, especially now that Ethereum is now, I think, going to be the only globally scaled crypto which is deflationary. Have I missed a trick here? Can you think of any crypto in the top 10 which is deflationary? Is that deflationary? But does the coin burn exceed the inflation rate? Yeah. I'd have to look. It's been a while since I checked out Binance. It was one of the first coins I ever checked out. I'd have a look. But I can't think of any. I mean, Ether is the only one. I think when network activity builds up, increases, the gas burning is going to also increase. It then becomes more deflationary. So I think actually in the next 18 months, maybe let's call it 2 years, Ether will be fully deflationary. At the moment, it's still marginally inflationary, but it's dropping. Next question. Yes.
Yeah, hi Sam. So completely jumping on the topics here from crypto or investing to teaching. So I have a 6-year-old girl, which I want to start her financial education. Now, assuming that you are already doing with your kids, you want to share any lessons?
Yeah. So this is something I'm not struggling with, but it's on my mind all the time, right? And I've done a lot of research, and this is why, I don't know if you noticed, I kept asking the dragons about their kids. Yeah. I was really curious, because every rich person I know has kids with very poor work ethic, really poor. And it's a common trend. Pretty much every millionaire I know that has kids, their kids are lazy. It's because they've been brought up with this massive parachute behind them, but this golden thing. They know that if they fuck up, then daddy's going to bail them out, or mummy will bail them out. And I'm obsessed with work ethic. So sorry if you heard me say this a lot. I was raised into child slave labour, basically. So my mum is Thai, my dad's English. And by the way, I think my dad was a pioneer. My dad is a pioneer because I think he's probably one of the first British blokes that went over to Thailand and brought back a Thai bride. Honestly, I've never found a half Thai, half English person older than me. So, cheers, Dad, pioneer. So I'm the leader of the half castes, the Thai out half castes, half Thai, half English. Anyway, so my mum and dad set up East Anglia's first Thai restaurant. It's been going for 38 years now, maybe 40 years, I can't remember, 38 to 40 years. Still going, and obviously, I was washing the dishes in the kitchen from the age of 6 till 13, no pay, slave labour. And then as soon as I was tall enough and respectable enough, they put a bow tie on me and forced me to be a waiter from the age of 13 to basically 18, and I hated it. No pay. So yeah, child labour. And so doing work, I never got any pocket money, by the way. They guilt-tripped me into school. So what they did, they spent every penny of the restaurant earnings into sending me to a really good school. So I thank them eternally for sending me to a really good school. But because of that, we had no money, ever. I was the poorest kid in the school. It was embarrassing. The type of school I went to where there was one guy on his 18th birthday got a Ferrari 360 Medina. It's like, what? And he wrote it off within 2 weeks. That whole school was full of entitled brats, in my opinion. Chris is one. No, he's not. no. But Chris, I went to school with Chris. Chris was in the year above me. Yeah. Would you say that's quite accurate?
Yeah, 100% true. Yeah.
And you know Smith, sorry. It is him, wasn't it? Yeah, it is. Sorry, mate. I'm not a mate. But, yeah.
Yeah, exactly those type of people. We want to avoid them.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been doing my own little research study over the last few years. And like in my year, I only know my year. There's about 120 people in my year. I can only find 10 business owners. 10 out of 120. However, the thing is, everyone has got a good job though. So everyone is basically a doctor, lawyer, solicitor, accountant, engineer, good jobs. But it's interesting, the school does not gear you up to be a business owner, it gears you up to be, well, the school I went to, a high-flying job, let's say, airline pilots, all that sort of stuff. I myself was one of them. I went into the military. But the thing I'm obsessed with is work ethic. So at home, because my mum was a typical hardcore Asian mum who used to slap me. I'm not saying slap me. I don't slap my kids, but she really did. Like I would always wash the dishes. I'd tidy my room. I'd always do my bed. I'd clean my own teeth. I'd do that not for pocket money, just because I'd get a slapping if I didn't. So, and the byproduct of that is I've got crazy work ethic. Now, where I see modern day English parents, we are constantly bribing our kids to do stuff, aren't we? If you go and take the bin out, we'll give you £1 or £5 or whatever. We're constantly bribing our kids to do stuff, which I think is not good. And this is just a hunch. I just think it's sort of feeding our kids that, if I do work, I get paid, which, yeah, I get that. But if you don't get paid, you're not going to do any work. So there's a sense of entitlement there. So I don't have the answer. One thing I do know, and it comes out of hardcore science, through, I think, it's from a 6-year case study now. It's called the marshmallow experiment. What they did is they basically took kids ranging from 5 to, I think, 10 years old, and they put them in a very scary room, sat down with a table like that, and put something like a marshmallow in, and said, look, here's a marshmallow. I'm just going to pop out. I've got some paperwork I need to do. I'll be back. Oh, and by the way, if you don't touch that marshmallow, I'll bring in 5 more or 3 more. I can't remember the exact number. Sorry? Was it 2? Yeah. Cool. They came back, and then obviously some kids were, and they videoed them. So some were like eyeing up, and they're like smelling it and prodding it. It's quite funny. But they then followed them every decade throughout their lives for the last 60, 70 years, and it's fascinating. The kids that just didn't do anything, that naturally did delayed gratification, they were very successful in life, whereas all the kids that basically went, they were less successful by, obviously you can't measure success in money, but they did it by job, status, economic success, let's say. So I'm doing that with my kids. I'm doing the marshmallow experiment all the time with them. And I'm a bit concerned. My eldest, I think he's going to be really rich. My youngest, mind you, he's only 4. But the thing is, Koa, he's 6 years old. When he was 4, he was doing delayed gratification. He looked at it, he was like, you're going to give me like 3 more if I just wait? I was like, yeah. He'd look at me like I'm trying to con him. So I'd go away, and he'd be like, okay, pay up. And I'm like, okay, you're shrewd. But Romy, my 4-year-old, he's like, straight away. Now, the way to enhance the marshmallow thing is, because I'm purposely not teaching them too much businessy money type stuff. I want to try and put the core foundations in them first, is that you have to increase the value of the gift, and you have to increase the time. So I started off doing, bits of Smarties or whatever, and going away for 5 minutes, or washing the dishes for 10 minutes, or whatever, and increasing the gap. I'm now doing it to the point where I'm trying to do it on a 24-hourly basis. So I'm saying now, look kids, if you do blah, 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 tomorrow you can have dessert. Or you can have the best dessert, or dessert of your choice, or Haagen-Dazs, or whatever. Or if you blah, 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 you just have fruit for dessert, or something like that. I'll let them choose. Koa, he's just munching on chocolate and shit all day long. Whereas Romy, he's just stuck with fruit. So he's probably going to be healthier. But obviously, it's important to get away from food gifts as well. You don't want to create a weird relationship between food and delayed gratification. So I'm trying to change it to toys. But again, there's side effects to everything you do. So at the moment, I'm just taking things slowly because I've got them to at least 18 years old. So I've got another decade and a bit with them. So I'm purposely, he's already looking at my charts, Koa. Romy's a bit disinterested, but Koa, he knows the words of the top 10 cryptos. Like they have a dinosaur toy, and they named it Cardano. And a T-Rex that converts into a car. But they called it Cardano. And I was like, that's a lovely play of words. And tipped my hat. They didn't call it Cardano. Cardano. He's like the crypto daddy. Yes, like the crypto. So that's my long answer. At the moment, I don't have any hardcore things I'm doing other than the marshmallow experiment.
Yeah, will it be a good idea to create a module for trading for kids, maybe?
Eventually, yeah. I'm already doing this with my kids, as in, here's the chart. Do you think it's going up or down? And then that's the only time I am rewarding them. Where if it goes up, I then give them £1. My Koa is obsessed with £1 coins because he loves the arcade. So he's already learning to save up money, which is good. He knows how to save money. But at the moment, he's got the bad habit of just spunking it all on the arcade machines. And he'll literally work a month saving up like 10, 15 quid. And then he'll blow it all in like 10 minutes in the arcade. With the bloody grabbing machines, he's obsessed with them. I'm like, it's a con. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. I'm just chilling out, I think. I figured if I'm too anal about it all, I'm going to repel them away from stuff like that. So I want them to want to learn. Yes? Reese?
You said before, ages ago, like if you bought Bitcoin at the worst time every month in history, you'd still be massively up. Mm-hmm. So is there a case for pound cost averaging as like even like a second strategy alongside the 6xing or
I would,
technical
but
entry?
If you have the skills, which I know you do, you can be smarter about it and not just blindly pound cost average. Pound cost averaging is really for people that have no idea about the charts or anything, and they're just, okay, every month I'll just buy regardless.
But you could still do like 10% as an insurance in case you get it wrong.
Yeah, you could, but then you'd be fully allocated by 40k during the drop, and then you're still halving your money again. So I'm not a fan of pound cost averaging. The only time I pound cost averaging is when I'm doing that technical scaling towards the bottom.
Okay, yeah. Sidestepping,
etc. The way I do it will always trump a hodler or a pound cost averager, because yeah. There's something else I was going to say. It was kid related. Can't remember. Sorry. Oh yeah, here's the other thing. Oh yeah, I did sort of bribe my kids. Sorry, there's one bribe I am doing. I told them, because I wanted them interested in crypto, I said, when this chart gets to $100,000, we'll go to the toy shop and we'll buy any toys you want. So they're now emotionally connected to Bitcoin because of that. And in Norwich, there's this massive Smith stores at Longwater, I don't know if you know it. And we've been in there a few times buying, in fact, we went there to buy Callum's daughter a present. And these aisles of toys everywhere. I was like, $100,000 Bitcoin, kids, $100,000. So every day they're asking, has Bitcoin done $100,000, Daddy? No, sorry. So. I know. I'm imperfect. Honestly, we're all, like, as parents, we're all just like fudding it along as we go, aren't we? We're like making it up as we go along. I don't have the answers. I never will. I just want them ultimately to be good people first and foremost. So,
question for you.
Yes.
With the WAP that you introduced for your children that you're going to give them, what age will you start to introduce the WAP to them?
I'm going to make a newer version for the kids.
Therefore.
Probably about 8.
I
don't know. I want to do more research first.
Okay.
Because they got to want to learn it. I don't know. At school, everything that was sort of force-fed into me, I just didn't want. I went to a private Catholic boarding school, and I'm an atheist now. They had chapel, 45 minutes of chapel, like every morning or something like that. I spent all my time at school trying to skip chapel and getting in trouble. And I don't know. So whenever you force something on a kid, they do the opposite, don't they?
Okay. My 4-year-old watched the first video on the WAP about capturing the pounds.
No, the cartoon one?
Yeah, and he loved it.
Did he really?
Absolutely loved it. He took pound coins and went to the arcade.
That's amazing. Yeah, there is, I don't know.
Yeah, so I was just curious as to...
Nice.
Thanks.
Yes, Steve.
Well, do you think CBDCs will replace stablecoins in terms of where they are in the market? And if not, or if there is a wider scope for stablecoins linked to Ethereum, like how Terra was, but against an actual...
Yeah, algorithmic stablecoins. Yes and no. So everyone thinks CBDC is there to take out Bitcoin and Ether. They're not. CBDCs are there to take out cash, as in fiat currency, and stablecoins. So it's stablecoins that should really be quaking in their boots right now, which is why I think BUSD is the safest right now. So yeah, even if the US did their worst and just banned all stablecoins in the US because they're deemed as a security, well, it won't do shit to BUSD, will it? The US is just one country. Crypto is a global thing. Now, obviously, the US will then be leaning on its political peers to do the same. So the UK will probably copy word for word what the US does, because we are, the US is a little lapdog. But yeah, it's a global thing. So.
Do you think there'll be a scope for a better stable coin than the CBDC? So something actually linked to gold, or an algorithmic one linked to a better coin?
People will try, but Gaddafi tried that as well, and we killed him.
I won't do that then.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally. Did I mention that last cuddle? So, yeah. Yes, Reese.
I read somewhere that ETH would take over the bond market. How would that work? What's it worth?
He said he heard somewhere that ETH would take over the bond market. How would that work? I don't think it would work. I can't see how it would work. The bond market is basically a borrowers and sellers market, basically. You have a bunch of borrowers going to the lenders, and the lenders will give an APR, and then people borrow. Who are the borrowers? They are countries and corporates and banks, and they're the people doing the borrowing. The lenders are also banks and central banks, or treasuries, let's say. How would Ether replace that bond market? It doesn't have the liquidity. Ether doesn't have tens of trillions worth of depth, at the moment at least, but I can't see that happening. I don't know, maybe there's other context behind that.
There's bits on Google saying that there's no confidence in it, and it's like an alternative.
Yeah, there definitely isn't confidence in the US debt at the moment. Yeah, hence the rates now going up. I don't know. I need to look into it. Yes, a couple more questions, then we'll end it, because we have to end at 6. I'm under strict orders that we have to end at 6. It's now 17:53. Yes.
Civil war in the States or China, which do you think is most likely, given the fact that the Americans recently polled said it was 60% they were expecting to have a civil war?
I know, everyone is hoarding guns. One of the crazy, honestly, it's not just that. One of the crazy things I've seen recently is that a few years ago, the Geneva Convention bans the use of, for the military to use hollow point rounds. So a hollow point round is a round which actually has stopping power. The bullet will enter, small hole, and then fracture, and basically make this big exit wound. Or it will just fracture inside. So, I've got a whole bunch of military friends, and they don't like the 9mm pistol, because they said when you're in a high stress, high adrenaline combat situation with some relative arm or whatever, they will have to unload a full clip of 9mm rounds, and they'll still be charging at them. They have no stopping power. But the Geneva Convention bans military use of hollow point rounds. However, it doesn't ban the use of civilians having hollow point rounds. So what happened is a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago now, the US DoD bought billions of rounds of hollow point rounds for the police force. So the American police now have hollow point rounds in their sidearms and also rifles. The other thing they also did is start to train normal policemen and policewomen how to use assault rifles. Now the scale when I did this, I was trying to imagine, like, it was X billion hollow point rounds. Okay, what does that equate to? Well, it equates to having an Iraq-sized war for 20 years. That's how much rounds of hollow points that the US police now have. I was like, why would you order that amount of... They're gearing up for something. Then you look at all of the armoured personnel carriers, the APCs that they had in Afghanistan. They didn't just scrap them. What do? They just brought them back to the US, repainted them. They're now police vehicles. So you have these massive APCs just driving through town to when they're doing a raid or something, armed with hollow point rounds. It's like they're preparing for a zombie apocalypse, where you need stopping power. I'm not saying there's going to be a zombie apocalypse, but they're definitely prepared for civil war. They're definitely prepared for that. And that's why, guess what they're trying to do? The government's trying to defang its populace. How are they doing that? With the gun ban. They're trying to do an assault rifle ban. But when you look into it, because I am a geek, I look into shit like this, have a look at the subtext. It's not just assault rifles. They're banning a whole long list of other weapons, including some handguns as well. When the citizens hear that and they figure it out, whew, sweet Jesus. It's not going to be nice. But yeah, I do find it funny. Americans don't seem to understand that more guns equal more gun deaths.
Yeah, my favourite was there's a training course for primary school teachers so they can carry a weapon in primary school.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It is ridiculous. And there are big companies lobbying schools to build shelters, gun shelters, in classes. It was like, what? How are you raising your kids? Everyone's so shit scared of COVID. They're now shit scared of gun shooters. That they have X-ray scanners as they go in. Some of the teachers may be armed in the future, and every classroom will have a gun shelter. It's like Jesus Christ. Anyway, time for one more question. Who's got the mic? A mic'd question. Me? Yes, go for it.
With your fairy tale product, have you considered approaching children's YouTube channels to work with them?
Yeah, it's part of that's what we're doing at the moment. Instagram and YouTube. Yeah, it's more my wife's business, but yeah. I'm like that. I sat there. I'm the idea person. I was like, honey, have you done this? She was like, yes. So we have a big list of stuff that she and her team are doing. So I have zero operational involvement. I just do, I used to do the Facebook ads and the sort of money side. But yeah.